What's up, everyone? I'm going to go over my watch list going into next week. I'm going to go over the 8 stocks I'm going to be watching with their technicals. So the 3 indices, IWM, QQQ, and SPY, and then 4 companies, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, and Boeing. First off, I want to say I hope you guys all had a great 4th of July weekend. You got to spend time with your friends or family and enjoyed it. I know I did, and now I'm ready for the upcoming week. I think it was a good break having a 3-day weekend, having Friday off, kind of just to take a step back, especially going into the month of July, and just reflect on everything. That's what I did, and I kind of noticed a lot of things, reviewed some of my trades and stuff. So I'm glad I got to do that. So now I'm ready for the next week, and I hope you guys are too. I'll go over this watch list. Hopefully you guys, it could give you guys an idea of what I'll be looking at, as long as the technicals on each stock, and can help you guys make plays, could help you guys know what I'm thinking when I make my own plays. So yeah, let's go over it. First thing is, I'm on an 8-hour time frame. Usually when going over technical analysis, I'm either on a 180-day 4-hour time frame, what I'm on right now is a 1-year 8-hour time frame, or a 90-day 1-hour time frame, like this. But right now I'm going to start off on the 8-hour time frame right here. So the first one is SPY. So I don't have too many trend lines in on SPY, or I don't have too many technical levels. I more so have trend lines. So again, we have this upper trend line coming in right here. We're not even close. I really wouldn't be worried about this yet going into the beginning of the week, maybe if we rally hard. But as you can see, we broke out of it. I've said this before, broke out of it early June. And then we ended up coming right back in. Right now we're coming up on this secondary trend line right here that we rejected late June. We're coming in now, and we'll see if we can reject that. But also, more importantly, we're at this more so like this supply zone right here of like 314, 315 area. If we zoom in, we first started off, we popped up to 316, then we came down, and then ever since then we touched 314 once, twice, three, and the 4th time was on Friday, and then we ended up coming back down. So this week we're going to see if we can either break through that, or if we're going to come back down. If we do end up coming back down on SPY, we have 306. This is a pretty key technical level in my opinion right here, and we can see if we can bounce off that. If so, maybe it's a good idea to take a long position, or if you break through that, then we have this lower trend line that's really important coming in, that we've been holding ever since April. I've been saying it's coming in. We came all the way down to it. We dropped about 30 points after that the rally in early June. We ended up coming back down, and then we tested it, bounced right off, and we tested it again late June right here at 300, which came in around the 300 area. We also have this demand zone. If we do, by the time next week comes, this trend line is going to be above the demand zone. Before, ever since then in the past, it's been below, so we've been able to test it. But say we do drop below this trend line, we have this demand zone coming in 296 to 300 area. This is a zone where there's a lot of buyers, and the stock's been getting bought up a lot. So I'll watch for, I'm more so on the long side here. I really don't want to take any short positions, so I'll look for a pullback to the 306 area. If not, maybe a pullback to the 303 area and see how price reacts around there. If we fall through, 300, 300 is a key level, and it's in this demand zone right here, so I'll watch that area. But for now, I would say there's not really any trades to take on SPY early in the week for me anyways. So I'm going to leave it at that. Going on to QQQ, it's been outperforming SPY, or the other indices actually, SPY, the Dow, and IWM by a lot. So you can see that it was in this it was in these 2 trend lines right here, and it broke out, fell right back through, broke out, fell right back through, and broke out again, and it's kind of holding this upper resistance trend line right here, and that it rejected once again on Friday. So I would be watching to take a long position, possibly if we come back down on Monday to the 248 area. I'll be watching that, and then maybe you can take a long position if there's signs of a bounce. It's where it bounced over here, and these 2 trend lines are coming in really, really tight, to the point where they're you can't really have price action move in between them. So it's going to get to a point where price is either above them or below them. So we'll see what happens there. But if we do come back down and then we can see a rejection or like a bounce off, I'll look to take a long position at like 249. If we fall through, maybe the secondary trend line, the support trend line coming in at 247, and then we have a key technical support coming in around 246.5. Anything below that, I mean, you can even draw in a trend line right here if you wanted to, something like that, and then you could watch for it to hold this support trend line right here. That. I mean, and that looks like it's coming into play too. It acted as resistance over here, came up, and then flipped to support over here. So we can watch for it to hold this as well. Now IWM, I'll go over this, and I currently have a position on this. I really like this trade. I'm going to take these off for now. Remove, oh, just to make it a little more clear. All right, so like the other indices, IWM has been in the channel, and right now it's at the bottom of its channel, so that's why I took this trade. And we did see a bounce off pre-market, came back down, and now there's a little lower wick here showing that buyers bought it up when it got down to this price. The trades, I think it's down like 3% right now. It's not down much at all. It could easily be up on Monday, and I just feel like the risk to reward is definitely there, because our stop loss would be, you know, a break and hold below this trend line that's coming in at 140, like 142-ish. I think if you go on a lower time frame, it might be different. It's coming in at like 141.7. Price is at like 142.6, so you're only risking about a point on this trade to possibly make, I mean, 145 I would say is the first price target. There's some resistance above there, that's 3 points, and if it could break through that, I can say, I mean, it's a longer term trade, or the expiration isn't too close anyways. It's like July 30th, I think, and then we have a price target of like 150. So you're risking 1 point to either make, you know, 3 points or even 8 points. So I would say that the risk to reward was definitely there, and I'm happy with the trade. We'll just have to see how it plays out. So that's IWM. If it breaks through that, I mean, I'll cut the trade. But then again, you can look to take a long position if it comes down to 136.3 and you see a bounce off. If we do come up, I'm watching that 145 area to possibly take profit. If we break through that, then 150. And the weekly ATR, the average true range, I just marked this on some stocks. Oh, where's the weekly time frame? Is, you know, it moves 11.5 points on average in a week. So I would say the weekly high, if it goes straight up, it's around 153. And that's just for, you know, a guide. Doesn't mean it's going to hit it, but it's just for a guide, and that's what I use a lot to determine, you know, the possible high for the week. Apple right here, holding this channel right here, this upwards channel. It's been in since late April, and we have a supply zone coming in 366 to 371, this 5-point range right here, and it rejected it on Friday. It's trading in a pretty tight range. I would only look to take a position really if we come back and test this trend line and bounce off, and then, you know, either take maybe a short expiration trade, because 357 to 365, that's only 8 points, and Apple can, you know, move 8 points in 2 days. Or you can take a longer term trade in anticipation that it would break all-time highs. I may also look to take a trade if we break this trend line 370 and retest it. That can show that Apple finally broke out of this area right here with a retest and then a bounce off. It can show that it's ready to make all-time highs and it's ready to continue on its run. So I would look for that on Apple, but for now I'm not really looking for anything too much. Either, like I said, a retest of this 358 area, or maybe a breakthrough and retest of this 369.8 trend line. Microsoft right here, you know, it's trading in a tighter range right here. We got this support trend line coming up that's a lot more narrow, and then the resistance trend line right here, and it's trading between these two ranges. It's getting tighter and tighter, and it's at the top of its range right now, 208. If I wanted to take a long position, I would look for a pullback and then a bounce off of this 202 area right here. It does have some technical levels, 203.4, 202.6. So anywhere around this 203 to 202 area, a pullback and then a bounce off, I would look to take a long position. And, you know, price target could be above this trend line, or this trend line, this trend line right here, coming in at 208. I can move to a shorter time frame for this just to see it. So I'd look for a pullback to like 203, and then you can have like a nice 5-point swing trade with minimal risk. I'll a much greater risk to reward trade, because if you take a trade at like 203, your stop loss can be below this trend line, which I mean, at to a point, it could literally be the next day it's coming in at break even, and your reward could be about like 5 or so points. So I would say that's a good trade. Facebook, again, I'm going to remove these fib levels just to make it a little more clear. This has been trading in a pretty narrow range. We did drop down heavy and came to the supply zone this demand zone that we did eventually bounce off of. I'm sad, I wasn't here to take this trade. I didn't realize it at the time, but I had this demand zone drawn out. By the time Facebook rallied, I looked at it and I saw that it hit to basically the penny. So I'm sad I didn't take that trade. But now it's back to trading in between these two zones right here. Again, it rejected this supply zone that's been pretty, it's been pretty strong. We originally came down, tested it once, twice. It broke out, came right back down, the next day. 3 now came down again. I would look for a pullback to 227 to 221-ish, this area, and for a bounce to take a long position. What I've noticed is all the major tech companies, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they're all making all-time highs. So, and Facebook hasn't done that since late June, or it's sort of been trading in this range since May. So I'd be looking at Facebook to follow and create all-time highs and kind of rally again soon. So either a retest of this, but I wouldn't be hesitant to take a long position if we break through 245 and then we retest it and bounce off, showing that bulls are still in control and they want to take this thing higher. You can take that, and then again, I have a weekly high from the ATR at 252. Thing moves on average 18.7 points a week. That's coming in around 252 on at the end of the week. So that's just a guide for the high Facebook can possibly be. It's not that it's going to happen, but it's something I'd watch for. And then lastly, we have BA, Boeing. On Boeing right now, it's in this channel, broke out. That was a good trade to take. Again, came down, broke out, but then it came back down on Friday. I'm gonna look for it to come back down to this 4-hour demand zone between 172 and 170. It's currently at 181. So I wouldn't take a trade until it comes down, but if it comes back down and then we see a bounce, again, we can see it rally all the way up to like 195-ish. It's about 25 points. So I would say that's a good trade. So I'd be patient with Boeing, and I would look for it to come back down and then see a bounce right here. But besides that, I'm really not looking for a trade on it. Maybe if we bounce and we come all the way up, we rally above 195, and then we retest it, you can look for a trade with a price target around here, 210. Again, weekly high is coming in at around 214. In the weekly chart, it looks pretty good in my opinion. This is showing, we came down and now it's a spinning top candle, almost a doji candle, showing signs that this can be a possible reversal right here. So if we do come down to this area, I think it's possible we can rally up the rest of the week. So I'd watch for that. So those are the 7 stocks I'm watching. I'm going to go over AXP just because I have a position in this, and I know some of you guys do as well. So let me bring out the harvest chart for this. Alright. So AXP, it broke down. We took the trade around here. When it was showing signs of a reversal, it had this candle, came up. I had a green day the next day. Next day it rallied to about 96, and then it came back down to 93. And then the next day, it actually gapped up. I'm pretty sure it opened at 96. Yeah, so it actually gapped up and opened at 96. And then the rest of the day just slowly bled down all the way back to 94, which is the worst days for call options, just because you open up and then you slowly bleed down and it just destroys the premium on them. So it was unfortunate about that, but I'll be watching for it to hold this 93.6 area. Again, I'm not too worried unless we close below this area. And the weekly time chart, or the weekly time frame on XP actually looks really good right now. Had like 3 heavy candles down with lower wicks, and now we have a spinning top candle. Again, this can be signs. This can be a sign of a reversal of some sorts. So, and since this is on the weekly time frame, this could indicate a longer term reversal. Going into next week, I'll be watching. It has a high. I mean, this thing could move 12 points in a week, so it's at 94. It could go up to about 106 at its high. So I'd watch for that. I don't know. I mean, that's if the market rallies all week. So I wouldn't be expecting that. That's just a guideline, but it's definitely possible we can see up to 100 if the market goes up this week. Because after all, I mean, XP is in the financial sector and it does follow the market. The financial sector has been lagging a bit. So I would be watching for that. But besides that, I'm not too worried again unless we close below 93.6. That's the area. And I do have a 40% stop loss on this trade, and it hasn't hit that yet. So again, I may even, if we see a bounce, I may even look to average down on a contract, maybe average down once, and that can lower the price. And I mean, XP can move as well as the contracts. They have high deltas. So I would watch for that for sure. So I like that. I'll just go over Twilio really quick, just because we love playing that, and it's looking beautiful. Hit 236. It actually went above my price target. I was expecting 225 to 230 by Friday, and it actually hit 236 at its high. Yeah, everything about it is beautiful. It broke out, was consolidating, came back up, broke out on the first, and then again gapped up a little bit and hit 236 at its high. If you want to take a position on this, I would look for a pullback to possibly 222, or if I could pull up the fib levels, even a pullback to about 228. That's still 161.8% fib level. And if you see a bounce, maybe you could grab some weekly contracts. I think we could see 245 by Friday. It's very possible. So I look to take a trade, maybe a YOLO on Monday. If we come down to 228 and bounce, you can grab maybe like a 245 call contract for this week. That's about like $220 right now. So if you have that money to risk, it may not be a bad idea. This is just my prediction. This green thing right here, this green candle, is just what I think this week can look like. So we could come down to 228 and then go up to 245. Twilio can move like 20 points in a week. So I mean, technically, it has like a weekly high on average of 252. Again, just a price target, not something I necessarily expect, but just something to keep in mind as a guide of how high it can move. And lastly, I'll go over DocuSign. I was talking about it in the notes. I think it was 2 Fridays ago. Let me pull up. I was talking about how it's in this ascending triangle and it broke out. I was saying look for a retest. Unfortunately, again, I didn't take this trade. I was looking at other things, but we ended up dumping this one day, came all the way back down. Then we came back up and we were holding. I think once on the 1 hour time frame, you saw a retest and then this green candle with the lower wick. I think this was as much confirmation as you needed to take the trade. This would have been a great entry right here around 172, and as you can see, stayed flat for the rest of the day. Absolutely rallied the next 2 days, and it hit all the way up to 199.4. Crazy trade. That would have been 20 points in 2 days. You could have made a huge ROI off of that trade. So for Docu, I think it's a bit overextended in my opinion. I mean, it's just been going nothing but up since, early March. Even though I love the stock, I don't know how much higher it can go. But if you do want to take a trade, I would be patient and look for a pullback to 180. I definitely wouldn't chase this thing if it makes all-time highs like the other stocks like Apple and stuff, even if a retest, just something I'm not comfortable with. So I'd look for a retest of 180, or even if it drops heavy, you can look for a retest of this 170 level. So that's about it for this week. These are the stocks that I'll be watching, I'll be looking to play if the opportunity is given. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.